Hey guys, Dr. Dusa here, MTFU. How are you? Why it's important that you stay as young as possible, feel as young as possible, and look as young as possible, as long as you can. It has nothing to do with overinflated ego or narcissism or anything like that. If that's what you think, you got to look a little deeper and listen to what I'm about to say. In my case, at the age of 55, I'll be 56 in 8 weeks, 3 days. Puts me roughly a little less than 5 years away from being 60. And God willing, I make it. Um, how do I keep pushing myself? Because a lot of people, they run out of gas and they don't care and they quit and they break down. And they listen to the societal message that, it's time to get serious, or you're too old for that, or whatever it might be. I wrote something to segue for a second by Jack LaLanne tonight, one of my favorite quotes by him. He says that the only reason a man at the age of 60 can't do the 100 push-ups he used to do when he was 20 is because somewhere along the line somebody told him it's time to get serious, and he stopped. Essentially, if you keep doing what you've always done, all other things being equal, and you don't get any serious injuries or sicknesses or things like that, there's no reason why you can't do what you did when you were 20, for the most part, until your later years. Nothing really should change. You shouldn't gather that rust. For me, at the age of 55, think about it. Society says I'm ready for senior living, whatever the fuck that is. That's not happening with me. Society will try to put things upon you. It's time for this. It's time to stop that. It's time to have a 10% discount on this. They pigeonhole you, and it engenders this poisonous thinking that makes you erode. And this happens. It's accepted, and it's tragic because it destroys your health. With me, the younger I stay, the younger I feel, the younger I look. To me, I've been told I look like I'm 35. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe 40. 10 to 20 years younger than what I am, depending on the day, depending on how my hair is doing for the day. But the fact is, when you feel a lot younger and look a lot younger, I feel I have another 50 years. Maybe on average, somebody who's 55 feels they only have 12 or 15 years. I don't know, or maybe they've already given up. It's really a mindset. When you stay vital and your physicality is fresh, and you can still do everything basically that you used to do. I mean, some things I could do better than when I was younger, some things not as good, but it kind of evens out. So I don't really notice much of a difference from when I was 22. And when you have that, it keeps you working really hard, because it's almost like you're just starting and you still have a lot to go. Yeah, it's a mind thing, but I talk to a lot of people, and I deal with a lot of people, a lot of guys in my age group, and this is either alien thinking to them, or it's very hard for them to grasp, or they just reject it. And it's up to them. I mean, you choose, really. But listen, if you have, as far as staying young, outside of plastic surgery, which I endorse in some cases, and I'll get into that in a second, if you're one of those people who has a long list of bad habits, as long as your arm, okay, I don't have that. Now, again, I'm not saying I'm better. I just choose not to smoke. Not to listen. I'll have a couple of martinis each year, so I drink, but I'm not a drinker. Okay, there's a difference. I'll have a cigar maybe once in a while to celebrate something, once every year or two. I smoke, but I'm not a smoker. Junk food, I just generally don't. We don't have it in the house, so I eat whole foods, real foods. I eat it and I can taste it. It tastes like food. Very few synthetics, very few packaged or boxed items to eat. I eat a very small array of different foods because again, eating for me is fuel. It's not really a social act, and it works for me, and I know how my body will respond, and I know what to expect. Lethargy, economy of movement, not getting off the couch. I'm very active. Exercise twice a day. I always have. As far as prescription medications, currently I'm on none. I have been in the past, injuries, infections, surgeries, things like that, but the average household has 17 of those orange prescription bottles in the medicine cabinet. Again, is that a habit? I don't know. In some cases, you're taking those, you having to take those medications are born from your poor lifestyle and your choices. So you're doing all these things to you. Listen, I've got guys that I've graduated high school with. I graduated in 1982, when I was 18. And these guys look like my grandfather. Now, some of you are thinking, Deuce is making fun of how people look. Look, I don't make fun of anybody because that's not fun to me. I was made fun of at one time, so I know what it's like, and that's not what I do. That's not. If we joke around with somebody, it's for it's an effort in construction to help somebody. That's the only time I might do that. But I don't laugh at somebody because they're big and fat, or they're terribly ugly, or whatever might be considered by some. Not at all. But when you let yourself go, what happens in your mind that I mentioned earlier? At least maybe not metaphorically, but in a way, you give up and you stop exerting effort, and you stop exceeding yourself. And I don't have any of that. So to me, it's like I'm just starting. Denise has that too. She's held up very well, and she works really hard at it. I haven't had to dye my hair, a little bit on the sides, but I still have all my hair. My father's hair didn't turn gray until he was 60, and he still has all his hair. So is it a genetic thing? Possibly. I don't like to use the word genetics, because genetics, number one, people don't really understand what genetics are. They just throw that word around. They don't understand the science behind it. But even still, when they use it, they use genetics because genetics gives them an excuse. Well, genetically, I don't have that. Well, let's pretend there is no genetics, and you're going to work hard anyhow. Then your genetics are you're going to go as far as you can instead of holding yourself back. What else? I've got bad acne scarring, but that's something that happened when I was a teenager. But my skin is otherwise very good. It's very tight. It doesn't sag like a guy my age. I drink a lot of water, vitamin E. I get out in the sun. I lay in a tanning bed every single day. Some people say it's very bad. Hasn't been very bad for over 40 years. If I do get skin cancer, it's the most curable kind. So listen, you can't walk on eggshells wondering what you're going to get. Something's going to get you. Okay, something's going to get you. So live your life. I'm not saying be reckless, but look, heliotherapy, I like how it makes me feel. I like to have a tan. It makes my joints feel better. And thus far, I haven't had any problems with my skin or my health. So it works out good for me. Everyone knows you got to find out what's good for you. I actually thought about getting a nose job one time. I have an oversized proboscis, as some people have pointed out for me on my nose. A good friend of mine's a plastic surgeon. He says, Michael, I take the bridge down a little bit and narrow the tip of your nose. And I never did it. I mean, I was a little wary. I'm like, maybe I'll look like a totally different person, or maybe the difference will be too strident. Some people say, oh, you don't need that. It doesn't matter what you think. It only matters, and this is for you too, it only matters how I feel about myself. In my practice, I had a lot of women that used to come to me. I used to work with a surgeon who did breast reduction surgery. And they'd have to come to me, so insurance would pay for the breast reduction. I treat them 12 times, and if the pain in their back from the pendulous breast development didn't go away, then it was obviously the breasts, and they'd get it paid for to have them reduced. And I have to say I can't prove this because I never committed malpractice, but I couldn't prove it. But a lot of times I think they didn't have back pain, they just wanted the breasts reduced because they feel better about themselves. They were embarrassed. So there you go. How you look, how you feel. Listen, two people walk in for a job. One is a great looking person, the other person doesn't take care of themselves. The great looking person, and they're equally proficient, the great looking person is getting the job. You may not like that, but it has nothing to do with your feelings or political correctness. That's the real world. Okay. I lectured at a seminar once. I was asked to fill in because the guy running the seminar needed a space filled. So I went up there and talked about nutrition. You can probably imagine I'm good at ad-libbing. It wasn't hard, but it was the first thing in the morning. It was 7 a.m. A couple hundred people sitting there, and everybody was really tired. They're hunched over. They had their coffee. They had bedhead, sheet marks on their face still, and tired, yawning. There was one guy who was sitting very erect. So I picked on him. I go, you? He goes, yeah. I go, you work out. You drink a lot of water. You get a lot of sleep. You have a perfect posture. You take care of yourself. I could tell. I could tell how a person carries themselves. And when they take care of themselves, they feel better about themselves, and they do better in life, and they work harder on themselves. We have a friend right now, and I'll end with this, and he's in dire straits. I just went through a divorce. He's very, very heavy. He lost his insurance. He has all kinds of health problems. So Denise and I were talking. She goes, what do you think he should do? I said, I think he should get in shape. She goes, what do you mean? He has to pay his bills. He has to pay his mortgage. He's got child support. None of that matters. He's got to get back in shape. He's got to steel himself. He's got to make himself a fortress. He's got to look good again. He's got to feel good about himself again so he can get the fuck out of bed and quit being depressed. Because then he has a reason to work because he cares about himself. So look as good as you can. And don't be a douche. Don't throw yourself around. Don't be a stuck-up bitch. Don't be some jackass walking around like this with invisible lat syndrome. Then you're just a douche. Then none of this applies to you. But put into yourself, plastic surgery, listen, as long as it's not a body dysmorphia and it makes you better, the best tip I can give you, my plastic surgery friend, he'll tell me, he'll say, listen, if something starts to go, get it before anybody notices it. Only when you notice it. And then nobody notices it, and you subtly age gracefully, and you still look basically the same. Because that's really what it's all about. Everybody, listen, deep down, I don't care who you are, the shit shoveler from Sheboygan to the captain of the highest industry, look, they're destroying themselves through life, and they're waiting, and someday they're going to get in shape. They're going to look good again. They're going to wear that crisp suit. They're going to be 180 lean. But when's that going to happen if you don't start pulling the lever now? Probably never. Most people, it's not going to happen. I'm just telling you, this is what's worked for me. I'm not going to tell you what you should do. Maybe my douchebag factor has been elevated after this video. Again, I still stride forth with confidence and hopefully conquer. But that's it. Questions, thoughts, considerations, comments down below. They are my oxygen. Please help me breathe. And you have a great night. Thank you.